If you've ever launched a course using a live webinar, you know the power of launching live. It is a very fun thing to do and you can see amazing results. And in this video, I'm going to talk about a recent experience that I had just last week launching a product using a live webinar. I'm so excited to tell you about how it went. And in this video, I'm going to give you a step-by-step process for using a live webinar format to launch your course, your membership site, your coaching program, whatever you're trying to launch in your online business next, use a live webinar to do it. And I'm going to show you exactly how to get the best results from that. So for that, stick around. My name's Lane. I love to help entrepreneurs grow their online businesses using the methods that we teach here that are proven, that I've used in both of my online businesses to grow it to over 6 figures, soon to be multiple 6 figures and beyond. And I want to give you something for free just to say thank you for stopping by. If you go to lanesebring.com/super simple, you can pick up my free super simple guide to your first $500 online. If you want to know the exact process, the exact steps to take to start an online business where you're teaching your skills, your passion, your knowledge to other people through online courses and content, this is the guide for you. So go to lanesebring.com/super simple. Last week, I launched a course using a live webinar. And one of the things that made me think about was how fun that is. I forgot how fun it is to launch live. It's fun for a lot of reasons. One, you're interacting with the people that watch your content in real time. And this isn't necessarily unique to launching live, but there's something about the excitement and anticipation of having all these people on a live webinar chatting with you, giving you feedback about the content that you're teaching, and you know that what you're about to offer is going to be amazing. It's going to help them take their next step. It's going to be something that really transforms them. And you've been working on it for a long time. Like you've built this product. It's your baby. And you're about to reveal that baby to all these people right then and there after you have done the work to bring them to the point where they want to receive your baby. That's fun. It's a lot of excitement and anticipation all wrapped into one event. But if you are like a lot of online business owners, you might be slightly intimidated at the prospect of launching live, of doing a live webinar that leads to the launch of a product. There's all kinds of reasons why we might avoid this. One, there might be something that goes wrong technically. That can be very scary for a lot of entrepreneurs. This is why I recommend using something like Kajabi to take care of the entire process of setting up the live event, getting people to register for it, giving them the information that they need to make sure that they're there at the right time, and then delivering them the product on the other end. If you're not on Kajabi yet, you can use my link, lanesebring.com/Kajabi. You get a 30-day free trial, you get a 45-minute Zoom call with me, you get a free course, and a free launch template. All of that is yours when you use my link, and Kajabi is the best online business platform there is, the best all-in-one solution there is. And one of the things that Kajabi has is the ability to walk you through live webinars. So what I did when it was time to set this up, I just went to my Kajabi dashboard, I clicked on funnels, I chose live event, and I went through the process, and it populates a live event. Then it literally sets up a landing page for me to serve as the registration page, sets up an email sequence to the people who have registered so that they don't miss the live event, sets up a place where the live event's going to happen, and then it sets up a funnel for afterwards to launch my course. It is amazing. So if you are intimidated by the technical aspects of live launching, just get on Kajabi. When you do, you'll get a 45-minute call with me. We can talk about it. Now, setting aside the live technical aspects, let's put that aside for a second. When it comes to your live webinar or your live workshop, your live training, there are some things to keep in mind as you work through this to get the best out of it and to make sure that it delivers the most value and converts the highest amount of sales. Because the last thing you want to do is get a bunch of people on your live webinar only to disappoint them, only to not present what your product does very well, only to waste their time and not deliver on the promise that you gave them in the first place. None of that stuff is good, so you want to make sure that you do this right from the start. So I want to walk you through the best way to set up a live webinar. And I want to give Graham Cochran credit because a lot of this stuff I learned from him originally, then I experimented with it. I used a little bit of what I've heard Jeff Walker talk about and Amy Porterfield's, kind of a mix of all these different people who have helped me along the way. So I want to give them credit, and this is the way that I have applied all of that material to make sure that I'm successful when I do a live launch, and I want to pass it on to you. So number one, you want to make sure that you have an intriguing title to your live webinar. In other words, what you call it needs to be interesting and appealing, and it itself needs to be like a product. You're not charging for it because this is going to be the thing that you launch your product with. The live webinar is used as a lead generating tool. It's like a lead magnet, only it's a live workshop. And so you want it to be something that's interesting, something that's intriguing, something that leaves a little bit of mystery so that people go, that's interesting. I want to be there. And so what I did was my product that I was selling over at Preaching Donkey was called the Strategic Leadership Bundle. It was actually a course that was hitting on 5 key leadership pillars within church leadership. So if you're not in this world, it may not mean anything to you, but to those people, the people over at Preaching Donkey that I target, this would have been really attractive. We talked about 5 strategic leadership pillars or principles that will help them lead and preach better and maximize both their leadership and their preaching and align them together. So that was the product, the Strategic Leadership Bundle. Now, what I wanted to do was create a webinar that would get those people to the webinar so that I can teach them something on the webinar that's valuable and helpful and good, and then set up the need for the course to take them further. So the webinar that I put together was called the 5 Pillars of Strategic Church Leadership. And then my subtitle was How to Align Your Leadership and Preaching so that you can maximize both. So what I did there is I didn't tell them what the 5 pillars of strategic leadership were. I just said that we're going to cover the 5 pillars of strategic leadership. So there's a little bit of intrigue, just kind of like, okay, I want to know what these 5 pillars of strategic church leadership are. I guess I'll have to go to the live webinar to find out. And then my subtitle was How to Align Your Leadership and Preaching to Maximize Both. Well, to these people, we talk mostly about preaching, and now all of a sudden I'm talking about leadership, but I'm connecting it back to my core topic, which is preaching, so that we can maximize both leadership and preaching when there's alignment. So for those people, this would have been an intriguing thing, and it was. I had a lot of people that showed up for the webinar, a lot of people that registered for it. It was a lot of fun, and they were very interested in the material from start to finish. So just make sure that you call it something really cool. And leading up to this live webinar, you're going to mention it in your content, maybe a couple weeks before. You're going to send it to your email list, and you want to get them to your registration page and ask them to register. This builds a little bit of anticipation. It builds a little bit of a commitment so that they have put their name in there and they've said, yes, save my seat, give me a spot, I'm coming. You want to do that. That's really an important part of it. Now, another thing I want to mention is that I don't like calling it a webinar. I like to call it a workshop or a training. A webinar just is it's a little bit esoteric. I don't like the word. I think it sounds boring. I definitely like workshop. It kind of invokes this idea of like we're going to be doing some productive work together, like a whiteboard session where we're really going to be working out some stuff. Or training is another thing, free training or a live training, so that there's an aspect of like, I'm going to learn something useful that I can put into practice. Either one of those are fine, but just I avoid webinar for what it's worth. Workshop and training seem to work really well. Now, in terms of the actual flow of the webinar itself, once you are on live, what you want to do is welcome everybody to the workshop, make sure that they get nice and comfortable, ask them to remove distractions, ask them to get something to write with, tell them to put their phone on Do Not Disturb. You really want to build this anticipation that, hey, for the next 45 minutes or so, we're going to be diving into some really good stuff and you want to be paying attention. So give this workshop, this training, your attention, and I promise you it will be worth it. While you're talking about this, get the people to start using the chat. You want to ask them to use the chat a lot because what that does is it signals to the other people, hey, I'm not alone. There's other people on this webinar. And it starts to get them active in the material. It kind of enhances that idea that, hey, we're live, we're doing something live. This isn't just some pre-recorded thing that he did. he is live or she is live and we are doing this right now. So I like to ask them, hey, where are you from? Where are you watching from? And what are you hoping to get out of this? Or what's your position? What do you do? What do you do in your church in that particular context? If I was doing it on this brand, I would say something like, where are you watching from? And what kind of business are you in? What's your niche? Let us know. So that gets the chat going as people are jumping on. The next thing you want to do is you want to incentivize people to stay to the end, because at the end is when you're going to pitch your offer. And so if they only stick around for 20 minutes or so to watch you present your teaching material and they hop off, then you lost the opportunity for the workshop to do what it's designed to do, which is to offer your product. So there's lots of ways you can incentivize sticking to the end. You might just say, hey, if you stick around to the end, I'll give you my slides. If you stick around to the end, I'll give you a replay link. If you stick around to the end, I have a really cool bonus for you. And then deliver on whatever the bonus is, or if it's slides or whatever. Make sure you deliver on that at the end, but let people know, hey, if you stick around to the end, here's what you can expect. The other thing I like to do is at the beginning of the webinar, I like to set the expectation for what I'm going to do. Now, in this particular webinar, what I did at the very beginning is I said, hey, here's what you can expect. We are going to go through each of these 5 pillars. I'm going to explain them, and then I'm going to give you one actionable, practical takeaway that you can use right away to put these into practice. What I'm doing there is I'm setting the expectation that they came for the 5 pillars of strategic church leadership. 1, they're going to get those 5 pillars, and 2, they're going to get a way to apply and put into practice those 5 pillars. I want them to know that from the outset, and then I want to deliver on that promise and then tell them I delivered on that promise. The reason why is I want to make sure that when they're on my training, when they're on my live event, when they're attending, that they know that I'm giving them what I promised them. This is really important. Because what you don't want to do is to have this really compelling title that kind of captures interest and brings them to your workshop, and then you don't deliver on it, okay? You want to deliver on it, you want them to know that you're delivering on it, and you want them to know that you delivered on it. So just make sure that you communicate that very clearly and let them know that it's coming. So I tell them what to expect in terms of the content. Then I say, then we're going to have a special announcement. You're going to really want to know this, or I'm going to present you a special offer. I just tell them right away, like, hey, there's something coming that you're going to want to know. If they have a clue what's going on, they're probably going to know that you're selling something, but that's okay, because you're not going to get to that until you deliver on the promise of the webinar, which is to answer the tension, to answer the question, to give them what you promised them. And then finally, I let them know that at the very end, we'll do a Q&A. So if you stick around to the very end, I will answer any questions that you have. So once I've laid the expectations, then I get into the core teaching content. This is where I deliver on the promise of the title of the webinar. This is why they showed up. This is where I put a ton of energy to make sure that I am delivering absolute gold. Now, along the way, I'm going to be asking for feedback in the chat. I'm going to be saying, hey, have you experienced this before? Or if you agree, let me know, say yes. And here's what this does. This gets them active in the chat. It's really encouraging to you as a presenter to see people blowing the chat up with, yes, this is so good. This is so awesome. I love this. And it's really good for them to see themselves and others giving that kind of feedback. It kind of helps this community just say, yeah, this is really helpful. It's really good stuff. Now, when you've gotten to the end of the core teaching content, it's time to move into your offer or your pitch. Now, a lot of people really stumble through this because a lot of us who got into this type of business got into it not because we were marketers, but because we were teachers. We like to teach people. We like to show people how to do things. We like to share our experiences and knowledge with people to help them. But the only way to do that as a business is you have to know how to sell. And so we're not marketers, we're not salesmen, and so it can be kind of hard to walk into this and say, hey, I know that I asked you to come on this free webinar and I delivered on the promise, but now I have something else for you and it's gonna cost you money, and we can get kind of shy about that. Don't be. Because you have built an amazing course for these people, or you've put together an amazing coaching program, or you have built an incredibly valuable membership site. It is your responsibility to get as many of the people in your target audience to join that course, to join that membership site, to join your coaching program as possible. Do not be hesitant about this. Do not be shy about this. You are serving these people with this paid product. It is going to serve them. It is going to benefit them. If you did it properly, if you did your job in building this product, it is going to deliver. So do not make any bones about the fact that you want these people to join that course, to buy that course, to join that membership site, to jump onto that coaching program. You want that. Now, once we have that understood, so you as the entrepreneur, you are not shy about this at all. Now the question is, how do you do it? Well, what I like to do, and I got this tip from Graham Cochran, I think it's really, really helpful. When you get to the end of your teaching content, you've proven that this was worth coming to. You just ask permission. You say, hey, would you like to hear how I can help you go further with this content? And then you wait for them to tell you in the chat yes. And if you've done your job, they're all gonna say yes. They're gonna say, yes, absolutely, we'd love to hear more. Here's a cool story. In my webinar last week, where I launched this course, when I was getting to this point where I was just about to move into the pitch, somebody in the comments, before I even asked if they wanted to hear more, somebody in the comments said, oh my gosh, this is so good. I wish I could hear more, and I wish I could go deeper with you with each one of these 5 things. That was incredible. That was amazing. I saw that comment and my heart just leaped because I said, yes, I'm so glad you brought that up. That is an excellent segue into how I can help you more. Would you guys like to know how I can help you more? And of course, they all said, yes, we would. And that's when I said, hey, I have an entire program built around these 5 things. So you can take what I taught and you can run with it and you can apply it, and that is totally cool. But if you want to go deeper with it, if you want my direct guidance, if you want some in-depth material that will walk you through this process where you and your team can see some incredible success, here's the program, right? And then from there, it just goes through a normal flow of sales copy where I'm taking them through and showing them the problem, and then I'm showing them that I've come up with a solution, and then I'm walking them through the core of the teaching, what it covers, how it's going to transform them. Then I'm revealing the bonuses, and then I'm showing them what it's worth, and then I'm showing them what I'm actually charging for it, which is less than what it should be, and then I'm showing them a way that I'm absorbing the risk because I have a money back guarantee, so I'm risk transferring, and then I'm presenting the options, like you can choose this option or you can choose that option, and I'm leading them to my sales page. All of that is happening after I have proven myself by delivering on the promise of the webinar. So once all that's over, I just say, okay, now I could do some Q&A. So I'll stick around for as long as you're here. Let's talk. So they're asking questions. I'm answering the questions. I'm talking about the product. I'm talking about the content. And all along the way, I am helping them understand if this is for them, and I'm also answering the questions about the content that I have. Now, not everybody is going to purchase right there on the webinar. In fact, most won't. That's the way sales work. What I want is for each person who came, whether they purchase or not, to be glad they came, to feel like I did them right, that I promised something and I delivered on it and it was worth their time. For those who purchase, I want them to be blown away. I want them to be like, yes, this is exactly what I needed, exactly when I needed it. I took them up on this offer, I went to the webinar, and I bought the product, and it is serving me well. That's a win-win-win all the way down. So what do I do to get people live in the moment to purchase? Well, one of the things I do is a promo code to incentivize them buying that day. In this case, I gave a $100 off promo code. It was just the promo code workshop, super easy to set up inside Kajabi. I just said, hey, if you purchase today, you'll get $100 off. And that was only for people who came on the webinar. Later, I sent out a replay and I included it on that as well. So it was anybody who watched the webinar live or at least watched it that day could get a $100 off coupon code. What that did for me was it allowed some immediate sales right away, got some people in the course right away. And that's really, really helpful. You capture the excitement of the moment, and then it almost becomes just like too good to pass up. Like, this was so good, I want to go deeper. Oh, and I get $100 off if I buy today. Yes, 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 yes. That's what we want. Now, other ways you can incentivize people buying right then and there is maybe you offer a bonus that's exclusive to the people on the workshop if they buy that day. I've even seen people say, if you buy before this workshop is over, I will give you a free 60-minute session with me. I've seen people do that. I've seen people do that well. Or I've seen people say, I have 3 live group coaching sessions coming up. If you buy right now before this webinar is over, you can work directly with me with a small group live. Those are all really cool ways to incentivize people buying on the spot. The benefit of live over a pre-recorded training is that you're actually interacting with these people in the chat in real time. That is a powerful, powerful tool. So don't be afraid to sell live. Don't be afraid to launch live. It is so much fun. And in this playlist, we'll actually go further with how to write sales copy, which is what you're going to put on your sales page that you point everybody to in your live event. So click right there and I'll show you exactly how to do that.